want to go back, Paul, to the North Carolina game, because what surprised me about that, besides the score, because I thought it was going to be a really good game. I was looking forward to that game more than any game of the day, is that North Carolina, here's a team with just prolific offensive weapons. So what I was expecting was a 35-31 game. If somebody would have said to me before the game started, it's going to be 62-26 North Carolina, I would have said, okay. Sam Howell threw for 6 touchdowns and 500 yards. He just went off against a secondary that had shown its issues throughout the season. He only had to throw the ball 19 times.
Yeah.
North Carolina their offensive line just beat the hell out of Miami's front, and those 2 running backs just threw guys around in the secondary. It was a physical beating that I didn't expect.
Yeah, North Carolina, the interesting thing is, Mac Brown took over that program the same time span as Manny Diaz took over the University of Miami program with a lot lesser talent, with Larry Fedora literally going like 3-9 or 1-10. I mean, their starting quarterback under Larry Fedora ended up being their linebacker. That's development in the Mac Brown coaching staff. He's developing what he has at the table. And look, in a 2-year time span, he's playing against Texas A&M in the Orange Bowl. Manny Diaz, 2-year time span, we're losing Oklahoma State, and we're getting annihilated by the University of North Carolina. That's a national champion head coach in Mac Brown. Phil Longo, offensive coordinator. I don't know how long they can keep him there from getting a job in the SEC as an offensive coordinator or another school, but he deserves a ton of credit. And Sam Howell, man, as a quarterback, he's going to be one of the best in the nation, easily a Heisman candidate next season. Their 2-star running backs just put on a show. They were great coming into the game. It's very rare that a team has 2,000-yard rushers with less than 12 games in a season, Mark. That's a very good offense, one of the better offenses in the nation. And hey, man, I tip my hat off to North Carolina, what Mac Brown is doing there. I think that is a program trending upwards, and look out for them to compete and win the ACC Coastal next year and compete against Clemson. I'm serious.
So, yeah, the offensive line seemed to be more at least competent this year, not devastating in any way, but at least competent offensive line play most of the time. But people having big issues with the linebackers, Paul.
Yeah, and who's our inside linebackers coach? Who's our outside linebackers coach? That's Coach Packies. I believe he's our outside linebackers coach, and inside linebackers coach is Coach Baker. The writing is on the wall at the University of Miami. I mean, it's time to let go of your entire staff, Manny Diaz. If not, you will be let go next season. And I think ultimately Alabama will destroy Miami in the first game if we don't make the appropriate changes moving forward. And I believe there will be changes to the defensive staff. But I'm pretty curious if Manny Diaz will let go of his coaching tree, Coach Packy as well. He's a student of the Manny Diaz coaching tree. I'm sorry. It's time to get rid of these guys. I mean, if we want to get better as a program, we're going back years if we don't improve. And UNC is a great model of what can change in 2 years with good coaching and a good coaching staff. And they are way past Miami next year as well. So it's very, very gloomy this offseason if Manny Diaz can make changes. And I'm very curious, and I don't know if he will. I really don't. We need a corner. We need a cornerback ASAP. Al Blades, I don't know if he'll be coming back next year. I believe he will. I know he had a heart condition. He had to sit out the rest of the year. DJ Ivy, Corey Couch has been a nice silver lining at the cornerback position. DJ Ivy, he's just an average ACC player. Let's be real. Moving forward, but you need guys. It's a very young group after the guys I named, Marcus Clark, Isaiah Dunson. We need to add a veteran corner presence there, someone preferably maybe from a Power 5 conference, redshirt senior or senior that is going to be eligible to play next year, just the veteran presence we need. Wide receiver play as well needs to step up. We need a go-to receiver after Mike Harley who can catch the football, maybe a possession receiver, because we have no hands whatsoever in that wide receiver position group. Moving forward, Brevin Jordan, I really hope he returns. John Mackey Award finalist, everyone who was on that press conference call spoke very highly of him. They all believe, a lot of NFL scouts believe he's probably the third best tight end right now in the nation. If he does declare to the NFL draft, he has a grade right now going in the 3rd round to the 5th round. Another name to look out for, Bubba Bolden. He plays safety at the University of Miami. I believe he was our leading tackler on the defensive side of the football. It'll be nice if he returns as well. Linebacker position, we need to start playing a veteran presence. We're done with the Zach McCloud presence. We're done with the Bradley Jennings presence as well at that position. We need a new culture there. We need new coaches, and it starts with your Avery Huffs, your Corey Flaggs, your Wayman Steeds. Get those guys in there. Get them more playing time moving forward. And another name I'm very excited about for next year is James Williams. What he can do. He's a 6'5", 220-pound safety. 5-star recruit. I'm very curious how he can make an impact day one against Alabama or just throughout the season. I mean, Alabama's a tough game in general, but hey, we'll see what happens next year. It's a big question mark for me because that non-conference schedule is it's fairly tough with, your quarterback rehabbing from a torn ACL. And what do you do at the starting quarterback position? That's a conversation the staff needs to have with N'Kosi Perry if he wants to return or get his shot at a Power 5 school starting the whole way. That's a conversation the staff needs to have with N'Kosi Perry or who they're going to start if N'Kosi Perry doesn't want to go to another program. So I don't know. Maybe D'Eriq King will be 100% ready by then. We'll see what happens. So a lot of big question marks moving forward. I'm glad. Last thing I'll say, DeAndre Johnson, outside linebacker / defensive end. They'll use him as an edge rusher. He should be, an assist, helping us out moving forward, getting to the quarterback, providing a lot of pressure. I mean, 4.5 sacks in the SEC, kind of a little bit breakout year, 9th total in the SEC with that stat. Should be a breakout player in the ACC Coastal level because ACC Coastal is probably the weakest in the Power 5 level. 4.5 sacks in the SEC. He should have a good year.
It was mentioned in the chat as well. I don't know if you have any leans toward what has happened in the strength and conditioning end of this, whether that's a weakness or everything's fine. But there were a couple of comments concerning the strength and conditioning program not being what it should be.
I mean, I think it's fine. I don't see what the issue is. I'm more concerned with wide receivers catching the football, cornerback play improving, cornerback recruits actually landing them because we have 0 right now in our class. I'm not worried about strength and conditioning guys. I'm worried about defensive staff changes. Every year, these guys look like bodybuilders after they're working out under the strength and conditioning program with Coach Feely. When Coach Feely got hired, everybody and their mom was excited about Coach Feely. They were in love with him. Now people are complaining about him. Look, let's get guys who can catch the football and let's get cornerback recruits because right now we're striking out. We're batting literally under the Mendoza line. This is ridiculous. Okay, that is a concern. If you want to compete at the Power 5 level, how do you expect to compete if you have 0 cornerback commits right now? Don't give me the name Malik Curtis. I don't want to hear that. Okay, I want true corners that we're going to play at the next level. I don't know what's going to happen with Devontae Williams moving forward and his injury status. I don't. That's up in the air. So there's more things to concern about guys, how much they can bench press and squat and deadlift. There's a lot more things we can be worried about. And that starts with the defensive staff. And that's my number one issue before we can get started and talk about our strength and conditioning coach.